Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something you've probably heard of, maybe even felt. It's called brain rot. And it's changing how we think, how we communicate, even how we act. And to really get what this is all about, I want to start with a story.
All right, so I want you to picture this. It's September 10th, 2025. You're at a political rally in Utah. The pretty controversial activist Charlie Kirk is up on stage. And then, suddenly, he just collapses. No loud noise, no big drama, nothing like in the movies. He's been assassinated.
So the FBI starts investigating, right? And the clues they find are just bizarre. I mean, truly strange. The bullet that actually killed him, it has this phrase engraved on it. Now, to you and me, that probably means nothing. It's just gibberish. But to someone deep in the weeds of internet meme culture, they'd know exactly what that is.
And it gets weirder. They find another bullet, one that wasn't fired. It has this message, paired with this sequence of arrows. The feds are thinking, okay, this has got to be some kind of secret code. But it's not. It's a command from a video game. A stratagem from Helldivers 2 that you'd use to call in an airstrike. No way. Then they look at the other bullets, and it's just a total mess. Some of the messages seem kind of progressive, and then right next to them you've got others that are just straight up homophobic. There's no rhyme or reason, no consistent political message. It's just a complete jumble of random stuff you'd find online.
So you can imagine, the authorities are just scratching their heads. They're totally lost. But you know who gets it, like instantly? Gen Z. They look at all this and they know right away this isn't about politics, this isn't some grand statement. This is the language of someone who is terminally online, someone whose entire reality, their whole worldview, has been replaced by the internet.
Yeah, the experts eventually figured it out. The killer wasn't driven by some clear ideology. He was a product of this new cultural force, a phenomenon called brain rot. And this term, it just exploded. It captured the feeling of the moment so perfectly that Oxford actually named it the 2024 Word of the Year. And what is it? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. The deterioration of your mind from just consuming way too much trivial online content.
So what is this stuff? What does brain rot content actually look like in the wild? Well, you've definitely seen it. It's that super weird, low-quality stuff that just loops forever, designed to just grab your brain. You know those split-screen videos where you've got some podcast clip playing on top and like mobile game footage on the bottom? That's a classic example. They call it sludge content. Or those AI cat videos that are acting out some crazy story from Reddit. Or, hey, even just watching a hydraulic press crush a bowling ball. It's all about getting that quick hit of stimulation with like zero actual substance.
Okay, so you might be thinking, hold on a second. Isn't this just the latest moral panic? I mean, every generation has its thing, right? Rock and roll is going to rot our brains, video games are going to rot our brains. And you're not wrong. People have been worried about brain rot for a long time. Henry David Thoreau was warning about it back in 1854, and we've had absurd art movements like Dadaism. But there is something fundamentally different this time around.
And this chart really breaks it down. Look, back in the day, stuff like Dadaism, it was absurd, sure, but it had a point. It was a human reaction to the absurdity of things like World War I. There was a deeper meaning under the surface. But modern brain rot, it's totally different. Its purpose isn't to critique anything. Its only purpose is to get you to watch. And it's not driven by a human artist's vision. It's driven by an algorithm designed to get you hooked.
So that begs the question, why is this stuff so popular? If it's so meaningless, why can't we stop watching? Well, for a lot of people, it's basically a form of self-medication. I mean, look at this number. A staggering 42% of Gen Z has been diagnosed with a mental health condition. We're talking mainly anxiety and depression here.
And it goes even deeper. When you've got 70% of an entire generation saying they feel super anxious and stressed about their future, when loneliness is at an all-time high, that brain rot stuff starts to look like a pretty tempting escape, doesn't it? It's just this endless fire hose of dopamine that asks absolutely nothing of you. It's a way to just turn your brain off for a little while, when reality is just too much.
And you have to understand this is not an accident. None of this is happening in a vacuum. Brain rot content is, quite literally, the perfect product for what we call the attention economy. Think about it. With AI, you can now generate an infinite amount of this low-quality content, people are calling it slop, for basically free. And the platforms? They don't pay for quality, they pay for views. Eyeballs, that's the game.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little scary. The consequences could be really serious. Constantly feeding your brain this passive, high dopamine junk might actually be rewiring it. Some neurologists are worried it could even weaken the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that handles decision-making and critical thinking. Now compare that to something like reading. That's active engagement. It actually builds and strengthens those exact same parts of the brain. It's literally the difference between building a mental muscle and letting it atrophy.
But it's not all doom and gloom. Not at all. There is a really powerful counter-narrative happening. You always hear that old line, nobody reads anymore. Well, the data says that's just not true. Take the Arab world, for example. Their book fairs, they are absolutely massive. We're talking some of the biggest attendance numbers on the entire planet. Millions and millions of people showing up, hungry for books.
And it's not just adults either. There's this program called the Arab Reading Challenge. It encourages kids to read 50 books a year. In 2015, it had about 3.5 million kids participating. A decade later, 32 million. That is just incredible growth. It proves that there's this huge, growing desire for deep, meaningful engagement.
So what's the takeaway here? What's the secret antidote to brain rot? Well, it's actually not that complicated. It really boils down to one powerful idea: patience. And I don't just mean waiting in line. On a brain level, patience is just the process of choosing a bigger, better reward down the line instead of that tiny, instant hit of dopamine right now. So how do you actually do that? How do you reclaim your own attention? It's really about making a few small, conscious choices. Step one is just noticing, acknowledge when you're just mindlessly scrolling. That's the first step. Then you make the choice to slow down, to put the phone down and pick up something that gives you a real, lasting reward. Maybe that's a book, maybe it's calling a friend or practicing an instrument. It's about you taking a stand and deciding what to do with your own time.
Because at the end of the day, the fight against brain rot really comes down to this one question. Think of your attention like money. It's the most valuable currency you have. And every single time you scroll or click or watch something, you are spending it. You're making a transaction. So the question is, who are you spending it on? Are you giving it away for free to meaningless slop, or are you investing it in things that actually make your mind and your life richer? It's your currency. The choice is always yours.